What's up, everybody? It's been about a week since my second race of 2025, which was the Cherry Blossom 10 miler out in Washington, D.C. This race also doubled as the 2025 USATF 10 mile championship, which, if you saw my last video, you know that I was a part of that championship field along with my fiance Sydney on the women's side. There's a ton to talk about this race regarding my travel to and from the race, the days leading up to it, my experience as somebody who was competing in the championship field, and all of my post-race analysis and what I'm taking away going into my big training block for the Grandma's Half Marathon on June 21st, about 10 weeks from right now. We're gonna start all the way back on the Thursday before the Sunday race, which was my big travel day from Oregon to DC.
Made it to the airport. It's like, what time is it? It's 4:08 a.m. right now. Thursday morning, flying out to DC today for the race and to celebrate Sydney's birthday this weekend. Super early because early flights are a lot cheaper and gotta save money. Got 3 flights today to get to DC, but not a big deal. Should be an easy travel day, and I will be in DC this evening. Happy birthday, Sydney.
Yeah, thanks. So I don't know if they celebrate Easter.
They celebrate Easter.
Mormons?
No, this house.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I didn't talk about this for Thursday, but one of the things that I did notice immediately after getting on the plane was that DC was much warmer and a lot more humid than I've been used to in Oregon. When I landed, it was about 80 degrees and really high humidity. Similar weather on Friday for this run. I think when Sydney and I ran, it was only about 60 or 70 degrees, but it was really hot, and I'm not sure if it was just that or something else, but I felt absolutely horrible for this Friday run. But we had fun together, as always, and it's beautiful running around Solomon's. It's a great place to run.
Hi, vlog. This is my house. That's my fiance. Go, 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 go!
The rest of the day was pretty busy. We did a lot of stuff in celebration for Sydney's birthday and hanging out with her family. It was an awesome day overall, but Sydney and I definitely spent a lot of time on our feet. So by Friday night, I was really, really tired. I was able to get a really good long night of sleep on Saturday, and for our pre-race shakeout, which was about a 4-mile run, I felt a whole lot better than I did on the Friday run. So definitely a good thing to be on the upswing going into this Sunday race. Saturday was also really busy, but it was super fun. Got to spend a lot of good time with Sydney's extended family in Virginia, and then Sydney and I had to go pick up our race bibs and go to a technical meeting for the USATF championship field.
Fire. It's about 3:15. Sydney and I just picked up her bibs, and in about 45 minutes we have a technical meeting. I don't really know what they're going to talk about. I think they're gonna check our shoes, make sure they're legal, go over the rules, tell us where to show up tomorrow morning, and yeah, that'll be that. Should be fun. We'll get to see everybody else who's in the race, including a lot of professional runners. So we're gonna be It's a pretty stacked start list. I did not realize it was going to be this deep of a race. So pretty sick to be on the start line.
That meeting was super cool because Sydney and I were in the room with all the professional athletes that you saw competing in this race, including the likes of, on the men's side, Charles Hicks ended up winning the race. He's technically the USA champ, but didn't get the American record. That's a whole nother discussion. On the women's side, Taylor Rowe, who technically ended up running a world record. So yeah, it was really, really cool to be in the room with all these elite athletes and get a point of contact with some of the USATF officials for future opportunities down the line.
Sydney and I have been talking about the race tomorrow, and we kind of agreed that because it's so stacked of a field up front, a lot of people in sort of like our tier who know we're not gonna be winning the race are probably going to get caught up in the hype and go out too fast. It's also going to be warm relative to what everybody's been training in the last few months. It's going to be maybe 70 degrees, kind of windy, and so we think it's probably smart to go out on the more conservative end of things and try to pick people off who die. Basically, we're just going to use our brains. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a classic strategy. I'm gonna go out conservative. I'm gonna pack up and I'm gonna finish fast.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna try to do. I've been talking about not looking at my watches in like recent races. I think I definitely. What?
I'm gonna not look at my watch.
No. I was gonna say I am going to look at my watch tomorrow to make sure I'm not running too fast.
Oh yeah.
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 Even though it's gonna be really windy, it's like the course goes in so many different directions to where like it might help us, it might hurt us, it might not have any effect at all, it might just be annoying. So there's really no way of knowing.
Yeah.
On Sunday morning before the race, Sydney and I woke up at about 4:30 in the morning. Sydney's race in the elite women's field was set to start at 7:18 a.m. and mine was set to start shortly after at 7:30. So we woke up early to give us ample time to eat some breakfast and, make our way over to the start line. One of the great things about being in the elite section of the race is we did have access to an elite athlete tent. So we were both able to bring backpacks full of everything we needed, had chairs to sit in, special bathrooms, so the lines weren't as long. And that was super, super nice. I was able to go do a nice 2.5 mile warm up in my warm up clothes, come back and change into my singlet. And that was just a luxury that I've never had before and really, really enjoyed. So definitely looking forward to doing some more USATF sanctioned events in the future. Like I said, I did about a 2.5 mile warm up. Didn't feel amazing, but I never do for any warm-ups for both workouts and races. Now, getting into the actual race, I talked about it a little bit, but I was feeling super, super fatigued on Friday and felt better on Saturday before the race, but Sydney and I were still super busy, so definitely was not feeling as fresh and rested as normal. Going into the race, I sort of saw two paths, and there was one path which was gonna be run close to ideal race pace, which was gonna be low 450s, kind of roll the dice a little bit on how that was gonna go, or execute a more conservative race plan and feel good about committing to that and just executing well, even if the time wasn't gonna be as fast as what I maybe believed I was capable of. I ended up going with a conservative race plan and running just about the entire race right around 5-minute pace. I made a huge point to not get off the line super fast. I didn't want to run a crazy fast first mile and zap myself, and I found myself kind of off a main group and in a group of 3 to 4 guys really early on. One of those 4 guys was Spencer Brown, aka the Athlete Special. We ran the entire race together, which was super nice. I kind of stayed tucked back in this group for the first 7 miles or so, and I was feeling really, really good. So about 7 miles into the race, I made a move into the front to try to push the pace a little bit. And this is where my first sort of main frustration with how I executed this race comes in. I told myself before the race that I was gonna wait as long as possible, and then when I was going to make a move, I wanted to make it very decisive. Making this move 3 miles out, it was kind of a soft move. Like I sped up a little bit, but not really, and I didn't end up committing to it. It's kind of funny. You can see in Spencer's video that he put out on this race, you can see me kind of go in front of him and maybe get 10, 15 meters on him for about 1 mile and then come back and settle in again next to or right behind him, literally 1 mile later, 8 miles into the race. So I was a little annoyed with myself for not committing to that move, but once I settled back in, I felt great. And then I made another solid move about 800 meters to go in the race that felt really good. And then we hit a pretty steep uphill, 400 meters to go. So the pace may not be super reflective of that. Ended up crossing the finish line in a finish time of 50:05, just getting out kicked by Spencer by maybe 5 to 10 meters or so. So yeah, it was a good race. Taking a look at some of the stats for the race. So my official 5K splits were 15:36 for the first 5K, which is 5:02 mile pace. Second 5K was 15:42, so 5:04 mile pace. My third 5K was a little bit faster, I think 15:26. And then, yeah, I closed that last little 5 minutes or so at 4:54 pace. So good to execute negative splits. I was looking at my watch a little bit during the race just to make sure I wasn't running too egregiously fast or slow, but I was mainly just focused on staying in that pack, trying to win the race within the race with the guys that I was next to. About 3 or 4 miles into the race, I looked up and saw a huge pack of guys maybe running about 20 seconds ahead of the group that I was in with Spencer. At that point in the race, I knew I was feeling really good, and I really wished that I was up in that group, and I wished I was running slightly faster than the pace that we were running in the group that I was in. However, I told myself that I had already committed to going out conservative and staying in this group, and I knew it was not going to be beneficial to try and push the pace if it was just going to mean going out and running alone in no man's land. So I decided to hang back and stay in that group, and I think that was the correct decision. Now jumping into some of the data from the race. So my watch had this race tracking a little bit long, which was slightly frustrating because the whole time I kind of thought that I was going to get just under 50 minutes, and then it turns out I ended up being just over, but it's whatever, I'll run faster in the future. So yeah, my watch tracked 10.08 miles, average heart rate of 177, which was pretty much the same as my average heart rate during CIM when I ran 2:18 in the marathon. You can see near the end, I had a pretty good finishing speed actually. Picked up the pace quite a lot in the last 800 meters and then again with about 200 meters to go. Like I said though, did get outkicked by the athlete special. I guess that 3:59 mile speed is still in his legs. Gotta give a big shout out to Sydney. She did not have the race she was looking for. I think she ended up finishing in 59:42. Later that night, after getting home from the race, Sydney ended up getting pretty sick and was sick for a couple days after the fact. So clearly she was running through a bit of sickness during this race, but to be able to still run a time like that, super impressive. She is a really, really good runner. She's also gonna be running the half marathon during Grandma's Marathon weekend with me. There's gonna be more Sydney content coming soon. So what do I make of this race going into my half marathon training block? I think my biggest takeaway from this race was that I need to learn how to push myself harder. This is the second race in a row now where I've crossed the finish line and been happy with my race and felt really, really good, but felt like I had more in the tank that I wasn't able to access. One of the things that the NCAA teaches you and training for shorter track races teaches you is just how to be in a lot of pain at the end of races. That's a feeling that I haven't really tapped into since CIM. The last 4 miles there were very painful and I felt like I got the absolute most out of myself being able to stay on pace during those reps. But for both my 8K that I ran a couple weeks ago and this 10-mile race, I felt good and I definitely had more to give in the last bit of the race, but I wasn't able to sort of will myself to push. And that's something I'm really gonna work on a lot during this half marathon build. I know that if I want to achieve my goal of breaking 64 minutes, I'm gonna really need to learn to access that next level of willpower in the last few miles of the race. If you guys want to follow along with that series, I'm going to be documenting my full half marathon build up over the next 10 weeks. Should be really, really exciting. This is finally the point in the year when I get to really ramp things up and transition out of the sort of early base training, early season mindset and into a little bit more of a go time mindset. So it's gonna be really, really fun. More to come, stay tuned. If you guys want to follow along, I highly recommend subscribing and following my Strava. I post all my training daily. But regardless, thank you everybody for watching. I really, really do appreciate it. And I will see you all in the next one. Peace.